Fathers. Okay, the last two questions. If there's anything that you wish you could have said, or you wish you can still say, to both your fathers, what would it be? And you never got an opportunity to both of them.
Oh no, like I don't leave things unsaid. You know, I guess it's always a layer of gratitude, especially to my late father, because he taught me fatherhood. You know, he came into our lives. My mother had 3 children, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
But you could never, people didn't even know that was not my biological father.
Yeah. I didn't even know.
Yeah, that's not actually the man that birthed me. So he taught me how to be a father. He taught me. And I remember because I had a beautiful baby girl with Rosette.
Yeah.
She got married and had another child.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying to me, "Uguti abantwana," and I was like, "Abantwana? No, I have 1 child there."
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, son.
They are yours.
You have 2 children there, because what do you call your daughter's sister? What is that to you?"
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're saying this is my daughter and she's like, this is my sister.
Yeah. That's your child.
Do you know what I mean?
And in African culture, that is how it's been. Even with cousins. And
yeah, that's your child.
This whole half sister, half brother thing is not an African thing.
No, I don't have that. I don't know what that is. So yeah, I don't want to leave. I never left anything unsaid. You know, even the last words on the phone minutes before my dad died. You know, he knew exactly how I felt, and he knew my level of gratitude.
That's dope. Final question before we close this, bro. 20 years from now, if there's anything that you would like to say to your father out there that you've never had an opportunity to say to him, what would that be?
I've lived to every principle of the Molefes, and I'm proud to have been born in a family that taught me the fear of God.
Yeah. And
I want to say thank you for bringing me to this world, because I would have never had the opportunity first to be Thabo, but the gift of being a Molefe, it is a priceless, and I speak for myself, it's a priceless entity that I preserve every quality, I preserve virtues and teachings that I'm brought under, and it's my responsibility to transfer it to other Molefes, so I will live up to that promise.
Yo, that's deep. The last question before I let you go, my brother. Sure. Yeah. Second question I'd like to ask you is, if there's one thing, because your father's still alive.
Yes.
If there's one thing that you wish you can tell him now, that you haven't had an opportunity to tell him, and he might even see this, what would that be?
I know this one is I'm going to be a bit shallow with it.
Yeah.
He influenced me to support the best team in the world, Orlando Pirates. So I have never said thanks to him for taking me that direction. Imagine, can you imagine the pain?
And I know the pain because I used to be cool second. But I realized this thing is too painful and I had to jump ship.
No, but on a more serious note, I think if there's something I must tell my father is that at no point have I ever been ashamed of him.
Yeah.
Even when I went to the better schools, because Hanas Panda he used to invest his money in my education. So I've never had the opportunity to say thank you 99 to him, to be honest with you. Never said thank you, because when your friends were buying cars, you took me to school.
Yo. So is this your way of saying thank you?
Yeah, no, 100% sure. Sure.
So before I close, the last question or the last message I'd like to... Your father is no more. May his soul rest in peace. But obviously, you still remember him and all of that. If there's one thing that you wish you could say to him right now, if you are sitting here, what would that be?
I didn't expect that. What would it be?
Yeah, anything. If you had one last chance just to say the last thing that you wanted to say or whatever, you know. I mean, look, it's not an easy question, because no one expects this question, but if you think about it, it's a question that you might not necessarily even answer today, but one day you might need to actually address it in your conversations with other parents as well, you know.
You know, there's so much I'd want to say to that man. So much, man. There's so much that I'd want to say to that man. But I think it's I'd probably just say, you know what? If there's only one thing that I could say, it would be that it's all right. Like we are good.
Yeah.
Like we good. Me, my brothers, we good.
Yeah.
If I had more time and other things to say to him, I'd be like, number one, you know, you could have chosen a better life.
Yeah.
Number two, you're probably not aware, we would have loved you regardless of your ways of pan. Like, Ginza or not,
You're still our father.
you're still our father.
Yeah.
We would never ever choose anyone else
Yeah.
above you.
Yeah.
You know, because I've seen what it did to my brother. They're not probably aware of it,
Yeah.
but the instability, of our mindsets, our emotional well-being, and how we relate to the world. You could feel that had we had him around, given the personality he had and the
Yeah.
character,
Yeah.
we would have probably been 2 steps ahead of where we are. Because some of the life choices we made because mothers are very compassionate,
Yeah.
but they are also very, they allow, they
Yeah.
just let us,
Yeah.
as
They're
boy
mothers.
kids, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you sometimes feel like if there was that guy, he could have said certain things
That
straight.
authority.
You know, with the women we've had to deal with,
Yeah.
women who've lied. I've had an experience of women too
Yeah.
lying and saying that I impregnated them when I didn't.
Yeah.
I've had the experience of, you know, not my son's mother, but before that, choosing wrong partners.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you start hearing people who knew my dad and how he maneuvered around things like that,
Yeah.
like we weren't so similar. If that
Yeah.
guy was here, I would have probably had
Yeah.
that kind of conversation with him.
Yeah.
He would have molded me into being a particular kind of individual earlier.
Yeah.
But the last thing I probably would say to him is that, Taima, we are actually okay. Like, we're good. Wherever you are, I hope you're resting. Don't overwork yourself in trying to protect us from evil spirits and whatever,
Secret.
you know, secreto. Like, takes scenario, ingondo scenario. And siyabonga because through you, we are, you know. So it's at the end of the day, it's you are responsible of your own destiny in life, and we can't always blame those who came before us and those who are going to come after us. It's you, you know. So you're the one in charge. So I would just thank him, just let him know that we are good. Like in Tanazam is paid, Tanazam Zilla, and then he's paid against a show. I play that, you know, I play that role of a brother and a father, you know, but mostly more of a friend more than anything. So secret, because like secret in time, and we'll be good wherever you are. We'll see you one day, but just know where we are. Don't worry, we're good.
You heard that? Through you, we are. That's so powerful, my man. And I can't leave without asking you this last question, I promise. What is the one thing that you would like to say to your dad that you've never had an opportunity to say to him, and fortunately he's still alive for you to say? So you might not say to him personally, but he might see this and go, wow, what is that one thing? Anything.
So like I said, I mean, my dad and I only sort of started talking later on in life, you know. So the one thing that he explained, and it kind of, you know, got stuck in my head as well, based on how he grew up, which is a difficult, you know, time filled with a lot of obstacles and stuff, which
plus apartheid that they had to deal with, eh?
Add that to it, you know what I mean? That I realized that his way of parenting in his head was the best. You know what I mean? Like he was doing the best, but I then had to say to him, I appreciate what you did, but in my head you were doing it wrong. But what I have taken from him is that I absolutely appreciate everything he did, because I wouldn't be here if my dad hasn't.
Of course.
Didn't hustle for me to get through school. Even when I knew there was no money there, the stuff he had to do to try and make sure that we were well taken care of. I appreciate all that stuff. And if anything I've taken from him is that do absolutely everything that's necessary for you to provide for your family and make sure they never go to bed hungry.
That's true. Have you ever told your dad you love him?
I haven't.
So the reason I'm asking you this is, I was talking to my dad. Dog, I'm 42. I told my dad I love him for the first time when we were doing this first episode, Yeah, My Time. And it just dawned upon me,
we were taught to be tough.
Yeah.
You know, you can't show emotion, you can't cry. And a lot of us, when I say us, I'm talking about our era, have never told our dads because it's going to be yeah. So you must tell your dad you love him. Because he's still alive to hear it. That's true. There's a lot of...
Okay, and then the last two questions, the other question I wanted to ask you is, if there's one thing that you would like, or you would have liked to have said to your father before he passed on, or you'd like to say to him in his absence, because his spirit still lives in us, what, let me just drop this. What would that be? What message would you like to send to your dad, or what would you like to say to him that you never had a chance to say to him whilst he was still alive?
Yeah, I would truly like the words of appreciation, because again, some of the things that turn out to be in real life are things that happen when someone is already gone.
Yeah.
And those regrets would always stay. But we'd always be, grateful to my father. And I mean, I'm talking on behalf of my siblings as well. With all of us. I mean, by the way, there are 4 of us and we are still alive.
Yeah.
We actually talk about it now. That,
in reflection.
Had our father been here, we'd be laughing.
And he was a funny man.
He was a funny man. He was extremely
I think that's where
funny.
you take it from. And me too, because I'm actually quite funny sometimes.
Yes, you are. Yeah. But I remain indebted to my father and very grateful that I am truly because of
him.
Of him.
And his teachings.
And his teachings, yes.
And the last one that I want to ask you, the last question. Your father's still alive, you're fortunate just like I am. If there's one thing you would like to say to your father that you've never had an opportunity to say to him, and he's going to watch this, what would it be?
I doubt he will watch it.
I'll make sure he gets it. I'll find him.
He only watch news and soccer. I don't know. Unless if there's a specific info. No, it's just to say I love you. I think that's the only thing.
And you've never said this to him?
Yeah, no, I've never.
Wow.
Yeah, Eddie has never said it to me.
Well, maybe he'll reciprocate and comment once we posted this. And then the last question I wanted to ask you is... Nice. Is your father still alive?
No, unfortunately, I never had a relationship with my father. We've never met.
Yeah.
I don't know him.
Okay, you've never met him.
So yeah, I was raised by a mother.
If you had an opportunity to say something to him, I know you've never met him, what would that be?
Well, if I were to meet him.
Yeah, what would you say to him? Because now you are a father of 3, right?
Yeah.
And you are raising your kids in your own way.
I would say to him, I wish he could have sticked around.
Yeah.
So that I could learn some few things from him.
Yeah.
Because, for me, raising kids, I had to be a father and I never really saw a father.
Yeah.
I didn't know what a father is, so it was trial and error for me, and thank God, so far it's
so good.
Coming along very well, yeah.
Wow. Wow. So you wish you could have just said to him, look, I wish you would be there for me just to learn a thing or two.
And how to relate with the younger ones,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully one day you'll get to meet him. Anything can happen in life.
Apparently passed away 2003.
Oh, he passed away?
Yeah.
Sure, may his soul rest in peace.
Yeah.
Thank you, Taima.
Sure.
That's it. Next, who are we doing next?
I know the questions out.
Love that. Is your father still alive?
No, my father passed away in 2000.
Okay, so he passed away. If there was an opportunity for you to say anything to him in his absence that you've never said whilst he was still alive, maybe you've said it, maybe you haven't, I don't know. What would that be?
Sure. I think it will be... I miss conversations that we used to have.
Yeah.
And Kanakuyeu, they didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But you see now in your absence, they mean a lot.
Yeah.
And when Kanakuyeu, you're going through
things in life.
Yeah.
You wish you could.
He was there.
He was there.
Yeah.
Not to give you
Yeah.
money, but
Yeah,
but
just the advice.
Yeah, just that advice.
Yeah.
It's enough. It's
Sure.
absolutely enough.
Oh, that's powerful.
Yeah.
I'm at time. Not
Yeah.
any time about it.
Sure.
Before I close, I want to find out two things from you. The first one is, if you had an opportunity to say something to your father, anything that you never had an opportunity to say to him whilst he was still alive, what would that be?
So I would tell him that I'm proud of him for trying his best for us. I do recognize that he really tried his best, and just like any one of us, we had our flaws. He had his flaws, but he really tried his best for his family. And I just wanted to say I'm proud of you as my son, as my father. I'm proud of you. I really am proud of you. Yeah.
That's dope. That's actually dope. And the last question is, but what I wanted to know from you is, your dad passed on 5 years ago, ne? If he were to come here right now for 5 minutes and say to you, I'm here for 5 minutes, is there anything that you wanted to say to me that you never had a chance to say to me whilst I was still alive? Or is there anything that you want to say to me whilst you carry me in your spirit? What would that thing be?
You know, if my dad was to come for 5 minutes,
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything I'd want to say to him that
Yeah.
I haven't.
Right.
Because we had a no-hold relationship. If
Right.
you're going to throw a blow, throw a blow.
Right.
If you're
So
going
you're
to take a
completely
punch, take a
open
punch.
and frank with each other.
Everything is out there.
Right.
I think because this was my consigliere, this was my counselor.
Right.
There are a lot of things in business now, in parenting,
Yeah,
where you end up
yeah.
stuck. And I'd love to say to Mexecho, no, so.
Kids are wrong. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would not be a matter of me trying to say things that I missed out on, because I don't
Yeah.
think I missed out on anything.
Right.
It would be a matter of, yo, bro, you're here for 5 minutes, let me capitalize on this quick.
Wow.
These are the challenges that I'm going through. You know, this is what I'm struggling with. What do I do? You know what I mean?
Wow.
Yeah.
That is special. And if Tseko, I want to ask you, if your dad had to walk in here now and say to you, this is who I am, I'm your biological dad, how would you respond if he had to literally walk in here now?
Well, I'll appreciate him for the moment because I've never had his presence, and I've heard people talk about Itamalam, you know, and I've never had that privilege to mention him. So I'd make the best out of the situations and hope that he imparts as much knowledge of where he's from, and so who am I, you know.
Your lineage.
Yes, I'm hoping to get that information so that I can impart the same information to my kids so that they know where they're from and all that.
Because history is a big part of who we are as black people.
So I want to ask you something.
I'm sorry. I should have realized that the negative comes with the positive, and I only focused on the negative with you. And you know, upon reflection, I realized that there was so much that you did that I didn't get to appreciate, and I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry I never got the chance to actually tell you that.
Well, for me, biological father was never around, so I was literally raised by my stepdad, but it never seemed like he's a stepdad. So almost everything I know when it comes to a father figure, it was from him. He did teach me a lot, importance of school, so literally if I had 5 minutes with him now, I would literally be thanking him because he didn't leave anything out. Everything I know now, everything I am now, is because of what he taught me, which is education is key, respect women, sure that one is number one. Respect women. A happy woman is a happy house. And yeah, man, I'd literally thank him for the whole 5 minutes.
How about the same question to you?
Well, firstly, I thank him, because if I can be half the man that my father is, then I would have achieved a lot in life. Mara, I only have one thing that I'd like my father to correct, and which is something that I would hopefully do correct with future generations that come under me, is when it comes to financial wellness, I didn't really get a lot of education from my parents. The only thing they would only say was, if I can say it in Swati, bathi imali ngusisi wakho, kumele uyiphathe kahle. That's all they said, but never the actual principles of how to care for money in a proper manner. So that's part of why, one of the important reasons why I actually came here today, to learn more about the principles of managing and caring for money.
Thank you guys.
Sure. See, I told you.
Oh, okay. The one thing I'd like to say to my father is that thank you for staying around. Most of my friends when I was growing up didn't have their fathers or didn't live with their fathers, and I had the privilege to have both and still know where my father is. Always known my father. Thank you for the lessons you've taught me. Now that I'm a father, I can see the challenges that you might have been going through but didn't know about. Thank you for being present to answer my questions when I don't have the answers. And thank you for being honest when you don't have the answers yourself. But more than anything, thank you for sticking around, and thank you for being a good father.
Thank you for that. Sorry, my guy. Are you also a father?
Yeah, well, to my father, I will say I'm grateful. He wanted us to be, have a life through education. So unfortunately, he passed on. But the vision that he had for his children, I can even now see the fruits, of him wanting us to be educated. So say, hey, I'm so grateful for the vision that you had for your kids. Thank you.
I'll say a very simple thing, that you missed a chance to raise a champion. You missed a chance to raise a giant. But I forgive you. You don't have to explain anything. I forgive you.
The last question I want to ask you is your dad still alive?
My dad is alive. I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, you're very fortunate. So am I. My dad.
8 years old.
Yeah, my dad is also still alive. If there's one thing you would like to say to your dad that you've never had an opportunity to say to him whilst he's still alive,
yeah,
what would that be?
I say, Dad, thank you for teaching me kindness.
Yeah.
There are other things that I wish you had taught me, but as I'm growing older, I realize that parenting plays a role. I know now that you didn't have, the teachings from your parents the way you should have, because that was going to be, instilled in me.
Yeah.
I had to figure out life from other children, and in school and in just, interacting with people that, okay, that's wrong, that's right.
Yeah.
And right now, I think I am learning how to better my parenting. I'm working on being a father.
Yeah.
I'm still struggling a lot.
Yeah.
And so I'd say thank you for that one quality you taught me, kindness. But I wish, you were equipped to have given me full parenting, because I would have turned out, I think, 10 times better than what I am now.
No, bro, you turned out just good. Another great timer right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Good. Thank you, sir. Dango.
Difficult question, man. The second question I wanted to ask you is, if you had to send a message to your late father, a message that you wish you had sent it to him whilst he was still alive, what would it be? If there's anything that you wish you had said.
Okay,
you want to take a call? No, it's fine. It's part of the. Don't stress. Take your call.
What about other children?
No, that's exactly what it is. Take your call. This is not a stringent show where we're like, it must be perfect. People take calls, life.
Just leave my keys at IT corner.
See, he's being a father. That's what this show is about. We're not cutting anyone from taking the calls because this is life. So if there's one thing you wish you had said to your dad whilst he was still alive, or one thing you wish to say to him in his absence, may his soul rest in peace, what would it be?
Look, I mean, as I said early on, I'd have liked to have explained to him more about myself.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a terrible relationship, don't get it wrong.
Yeah.
I wish I could have opened myself more to him.
Yeah.
About who I really was. And the only thing I hid away from him was obviously my sexuality, but not really hid.
Yeah. You just didn't speak about it.
Didn't speak about it.
Yeah.
And he never asked about it,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And so it was just never an issue.
Yeah.
If it had become an issue, yes, we'd have spoken about it. But we just never spoke about it.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, I'd have liked to have been a little bit more open and said, hey, Dad. But he was an old-fashioned Portuguese man.
Yeah.
I thought, would it have hurt him if I said it or not? So we wouldn't know how he would have reacted. I don't think he would have reacted negatively.
Yeah.
But our relationship was cool. Yeah. So if you didn't ask, why?
Yeah.
No,
I hear you. And the last question before I close off. So you are raising this young smart